Good morning, YouTube family. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you might be. This is Escape from Crazytown. You can call me Escape, or who's our little mascot there. Well, today we have quite a topic that I think, you know, I'm sorry, I just laugh because narcissists are so absolutely crazy to me now that I'm on the other side, right? Now that I've made it to the other side, I look back and I just think, how incredibly crazy was that experience? And the topic today is, how does the narcissist fool the new supply? But not just the new supply. How do they fool the entire family? The whole supply's entire family, right? It's a viewer recently was asking me that because they had gone through the same thing. You know, they had gone through where the new supplies family is completely on board, and they just can't see and understand how in the world nobody can see through the narcissist. Well, the obvious answer is they are spectacular liars. They are huge, huge liars, and they live in an illusion. So it's easy for them to continue to lie. But I have a really amazing example for you today because I remember this crime show I watched. I don't even remember. It might have been a forensics file. Yeah, I think it was because it was this woman who met this guy on a cruise. So she goes on this cruise. She meets this amazing guy, of course, right? They are together the entire cruise, or through the rest of the cruise after they had met, and she brings him home to meet her family. Now, he meets her mom and her dad, who are being interviewed on this crime show, and they are both saying how they thought he was just a wonderful person. They thought he was a perfect match for their daughter. They thought that he was just so easy to like, easy to get along with. He was animated, he was exciting, he was interesting. He seemed to dote on their daughter. So there you go, is another point for how the narcissist fools the new supply. The doting, right? The love bombing, the attention they pour on the new supply. So of course the new supply is going to be completely taken by that. And their family thinks this is just wonderful because if the narcissist is just doting all over their child, they're going to think this is a really great person. They know to be attentive. They know at the beginning to win people over, to fool people. They have to put on their A game. You guys, this is what they do. So, in this crime show, it's just so sad, though, that the parents felt like they didn't protect their daughter because they just didn't see it coming. They were just as fooled as their daughter was. Um, well, it happens in regular life too, not just the murder shows where you end up, the victim, but you also do become their victim when you fall into a relationship with them, into a business relationship with them, into a romantic relationship with them, into a friendship with them, right? They will take advantage of you. It doesn't have to end in a crime, but it will end pretty badly and in a painful way. So we want to know, if these people are so horrible, if they're so bad, if they're so capable of destroying other people, how in the world do they keep doing it? How do they keep fooling new supply? How do they keep pulling from the public and taking more and more of the fan club? How do they build their fan club? It's insane. So, but the most interesting thing to me is, how do they fool those closest to the new supply, right? Those who are more protective of the new supply. But it happens. It does, because they're that good. They're that amazing of an actor. Well, good morning, you guys. I want to say hi to some of you who are hopping on here. Obi, good to see you. And Tales from the Narc side. I like your title. Very cool. Obi-Wan, also love yours because I'm a big Star Wars fan. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he says, my family hates me because they're narcs too, and I was right, and nobody listened. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Whether they're narcs or not, people will tend to believe a narcissist over the victim. And that's very sad because the victim seems unstable, right? You're emotional, you're devastated, and you are sometimes even desperate to have people believe you. So in that state, people tend to shy away or they back off, while the narcissist is behaving calmly and charming, charmingly, and they're being polite. They're being, they appear to be stable, right, to the listeners. So people who are watching are going to more likely believe the narcissist, ah because they lie. They completely live in this illusion, and they lie, and they pull these people into their illusion that you're the crazy one, or their victim is the crazy one, or their victim is being paranoid, or the victim is being critical. Oh my gosh, you guys. Recently I was talking to somebody, and they were telling me a situation that's happening in their life right now. And what's going on is their spouse is calling them manipulative. And, at first you're like, well, if someone's calling them manipulative, they probably are. But here's the deal. When a narcissist calls other people manipulative, they're just projecting. They're projecting. The other person, okay, what I know about this situation is um, my friend is trying to share her feelings, right, with her spouse. And her spouse, that because he can't take criticism, right? And I'm not saying he's a narcissist, but this is very typical of narcissistic behavior. Narcissists cannot take criticism. They cannot take constructive criticism. They can't take comments of any kind that doesn't agree with them, right? That tells them there's something they need to change. So they, first of all, they become defensive, and then they become offensive, right? They start attacking the person who's telling them they need to change, or there's something that they do that hurts that other person. And then third of all, they can't take it as, they take anything that you say as criticism, right, of their character, as an attack. So they can't take constructive criticism that helps them build a relationship or helps them get deeper into a relationship. They Because they're either wounded. Narcissists do act the same way as people who are wounded, or people who are wounded at some times, at some points, will act like a narcissist because they will protect, right? They will protect themselves and their wounding. Um, I was just talking to my husband this morning, that not everybody is a narcissist. Some people are just simply wounded and walking around with these wounds where they appear like they're narcissistic because they're protecting themselves. They're very self-centered. They believe that they've been the victim, or they may have been, right? They may have been a victim in their family in particular, who may have hurt them growing up, pulled them down, whatever, treated them badly. They were not the favorite child. They were actually the black sheep of the family. They were discarded by their own family. And now they're in a relationship, and they're going to act a lot like narcissists do. They're going to, when you try to tell them, you know what, when I ask you a question and then you just turn around and you bark at me, what the heck, where does that come from? I'm not going to just take it like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I didn't realize I was using that, angry tone at you. I No, they're not going to do that. They're going to instead turn around and say, oh yeah, well, your question was stupid, or your question was this, and that's why, I acted the way I did. They'll defend themselves, right? But oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting off on on another trail here. But narcissists cannot take constructive criticism. So when you try, this is the situation I was talking about. So they'll turn around and they'll tell you you're manipulative, and then they actually believe it, right? So in their attack towards you, because you're trying to talk about an issue in your relationship, you're trying to talk about how something they do in your relationship really hurts you or offends you, or you go out, and why is it they have to flirt with everybody when they go out with you, like why why did you do that? That really hurts my feelings when you're complimenting everybody else except for me and telling how everybody else looks beautiful or hot or whatever. And then you don't say anything to me. You know, you ignore me the whole night. That hurts my feelings. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I did that, or I'm sorry, I'll, be sure not to do that, or, they'll be sure to compliment me more, they'll change their behavior. A normal person, that is. A narcissist or a wounded person, a toxic person, will not change their behavior. They'll instead protect their behavior, defend their behavior, and then project onto you what they're feeling. So they'll start saying things like, oh, you must be insecure, you must be manipulative, you must be egotistical, that you always, why do I have to always compliment you, when they never do. Right, they never do. So this is what they do with the New Supply or the New Supplies family. So even if they see that why they don't believe you, even if the fan club sees that you've been hurt, the narcissist will twist it in a way to make them believe that you are not hurt. And in fact, you are manipulating, or you are putting on a show, or you are being too critical. And they just completely twist the story. And that's so painful to the victim, because the victim's sitting there like, wait, I'm the one telling the truth. I'm the one who's telling what really happened. And then people aren't believing what really happened. They're believing this lie instead. And that's why it's so painful coming out of these relationships. Well, you guys, I'm so glad to see you hopping on. Crystal Jean, good to see you. Rissa Risk, good to see you. And John Bailey, good morning. So glad you guys are on here. I am going to see what other comments are coming in. But you guys, welcome to Happy Crappy Hour. I know that some of you guys are new and may not know what Happy Crappy Hour is about. It really is about what went well this week that you want to keep doing, and what didn't go well this week, and you want to learn from that and change so that you improve your life, of course, right? And that's why we talk about these topics. This is why we talk about actual real experiences we've had, because we want to be able to turn that around. We want to be able to turn that around and learn from it and get stronger and live a better life. So here we go. Obi says, you don't want me to get started today on this topic. Lost my friends and family due to a narc, fooling people stupider than the narc. Yeah, and they may be more dumb than the narc for sure, but they're also just trusting people. Most of us really are. We give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove us wrong, right? I think more and more people are becoming skeptical, of course, right, in today's climate. And it's good. It's good to question. And I'm glad of that. I'm glad people are becoming more skeptical. But the narcissist has this talent of getting through your skepticism. And I do want to talk about that today. Like, not everybody's a turnip, okay? Or has fallen off the turnip truck, they say. Not everybody is completely naive, right? But for some reason, narcissists are able to get through that skepticism. Narcissists are able to cut through. So we want to talk about that today. One of the ways that they cut through the skepticism, by the way, is they build the relationship, right? They build their trust with you or with the fan club. So the fan club believes, just because they know the narcissist for 4 or 5 years, or whatever number of, whatever time it is that they've spent with the narcissist, or have been in groups with the narcissist, they may not even really know the narcissist that well, but they've been around them enough to think like, oh, I know this guy, I'm familiar with them, or this woman, I'm familiar with her. So they just automatically start trusting people because of time. And and I know that time does not build trust really with a narcissist. A narcissist can wait out the time, and not just wait out. They actually give you tons of red flags along the way that we ignore because we give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So let's go into here. I saw Obi say that he loves social distancing. it helps. It helps to be away from narcissists, but um, at the same time, you might be locked up with a narcissist. So that's really scary. That's really sad for those who are still in a relationship with a narcissist. So I tell my viewers, I tell you guys, be glad that you're not with the narcissist. If you are not in the same house with one, be glad. Don't miss them. Don't build up this romantic fantasy that, oh, you're missing out because you're not with them and they're with some new supply. No, that new supply is living a nightmare, being locked up with the narcissist. Honeybee says, my crappy is that my ex-narc tried to contact me after 2 months of the discard. But my happy is that I didn't fall for the love bombing again. Yay! Good job, Honeybee. That's great. I'm going to go back here some. It's good to see you. Oh, hey, you guys. All right. How do I? Oh, there it is. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it stopped and then came back. But good to see you guys again. I hope that some of you know what? We had all these viewers and then now people have left. But I am so glad that some of you are still here. Vonda, good to see you. Oh my gosh. And glad that you guys stuck around. All right, let me go back here and see. Sorry, I totally have now lost my train of thought since it's been about 10 minutes of an interruption. But you guys, we're talking about how the narcissist is able to fool people so well. And it's beyond just lying, right? It's beyond what we can even comprehend as a normal person. But once you've been through the experience with the narcissist, Obi was saying that earlier on too. It's like, some of the people in his family, if they haven't, or even his friends, if they have not experienced the full narcissist Crazytown, if they have not been the victim of that or a target of it, they just cannot understand that someone could be that manipulative. They cannot understand that someone could be that self-centered or that just that mean, right? That cruel. So they don't understand when you try to point out the stuff that the narcissist did, because they'll make excuses for it. That's the really painful thing actually for victims, is that the viewers or the people watching or their friends or their family will say, well, maybe, to the victim, they'll say things like, well, maybe you're just too sensitive, or maybe you took it the wrong way. Maybe they didn't mean that, and oh, they didn't mean to cheat on you. Okay, I get it. That's crazy. But lesser things, they might say, well, maybe that wasn't the real tone they used. Maybe they weren't being condescending. Maybe they weren't insulting you. Maybe you're just easily offended, Now, you don't want to be easily offended, and that's definitely something to work on. You don't want to just take offense at everything, of course, right? But narcissists have underhanded ways of complimenting people. They will compliment you but insult you at the same time. So you're like, wait, what? Like they'll say things like, that suit looked really good on you when you were fit. When you weren't so big, when you weren't so fat. You're like, wait, what? is that a compliment? Or sometimes your makeup is really nice. You're like, wait, what? What do you mean sometimes? What about now? And they don't compliment how you look right now. So you're just like, wait, is that a compliment about how I look now? Or is that telling me I look terrible now and I didn't do my makeup very well? Yeah. So they'll say things like this. And then the fan club or even the family of the new supply will think, well, maybe you're just being too sensitive, maybe you're just, misunderstanding what they're saying. They're trying to be nice to you. Anyway, they'll defend the narcissist. And that's so frustrating because you're like, wait a minute, you're my family, you're my friends. How come you're defending this person? Sometimes the narcissist has the benefit of having a new relationship with your friends and your family, right? They haven't been around long enough to have hurt anybody's feelings or offend somebody in your family or in your friends group. So your friends will have a clean slate with them. So that's another reason, or how a narcissist can get away with convincing your friends and your family that you're the crazy one, right? So let me go back and take a look, you guys, at some of the comments, because I do want to acknowledge and answer some of these comments. Yeah, Tales from the Narc side says they fool us with lies, love bombing, and more lies. If the new supply is a narcopath, they won't have to work at it as hard. Narcs are easy to manipulate as they do others. Okay. Yeah, the love bombing, that definitely fools, and I mentioned that earlier on, that the love bombing gets the family of the new supply to believe the narcissist, because they're thinking, wow, this person is paying all this attention to uh, my cousin or my sister or my brother or my child. They think this is great. This person's doting on my child. And so, of course, they must be really wonderful. But narcissists will do that because they get something out of it. What is their end goal? That's what keeps them going. What is it that they're trying to achieve? Are they trying to get in deep enough to get a hand on your finances? Are they trying to get in so that they can move in with you because they have no other place to go to? Oh my gosh, you guys, if you watch the show, and it's come up again, Dirty John, right? I watched this documentary a couple of years ago, and it is dead on. It is so on point about a narcissist. It describes this guy who actually, even at his wedding, it is incredible how he fooled his own wife, right? Um, at the wedding, his friends, his groomsmen, would call him Filthy John. I think that's what they called him, not dirty, just Filthy John, or yeah, something like that. But TV has cleaned it up to calling him Dirty John. But they knew from high school what a jerk he was. They knew from high school how he manipulates people and how he has no conscience. Holy cow, he was a gigolo through high school. I remember this now. So he slept with women for money. So anyway, and his friends knew this, so they knew he was just this filthy, horrible person. And he gets married to this fairly wholesome girl, right? Who is convinced that he's just this wonderful guy. And for 9 years, she has no clue that I think it was 9 years, but she has no clue the double life he was living. That's how a narcissist is. They're so good at manipulating. And then of course, he manipulates her to the point where she thinks she's the manipulative one, right? This is how they work. They twist you into questioning yourself. And then not only that, they twist you and your family into questioning you, right? Your family starts questioning you. And that's how they get away with it. Nobody except for the closest to them. And here's the really frustrating thing. How do they have friends like this guy, Dirty John, has friends who knows what a jerk he is, and yet they don't tell the wife, right? They don't tell the new supply. They don't warn her. But actually, I think she was warned. I think they try to say a few things. No one sits you down and says, here it is. Here's a whole notebook of all the things I've witnessed about, witnessed with this narcissist. No, they're not going to do that. But they'll try to give you hints and clues, like, be careful, don't, yeah, so and so may not always be telling the truth, or you're like, what do you mean by that? And then you get defensive, or maybe not you, but maybe the new supply gets defensive, and then they back off. They're like, okay, well, you're not willing to receive this yet, the new supply is not willing to listen to this yet, so they back off, and the new supply continues living in their fantasy. Yeah. So Jihad, good to see you. Rissa says, my neighbor said the narc passed by my home driving 2 days ago. Why did he do that? And he's living with his new supply. I'm like 1 hour away from him. Why was he just in my neighborhood? Because he was checking on you, Rissa. You're absolutely right. And that's really good that your neighbors are letting you know that. He's with the new supply, but he wants to know if first of all, if you're doing better than he is, okay, or she is. I'm not sure what your new supply. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't get my pronouns right, so excuse me. I try to just say they because I'm not sure now. Yeah, you do say he. So, um, yeah, he might be just checking to make sure that he's doing better than you are, or to see keep tabs on you so that he knows how to get in contact with you. If you know he wants to know that you're still there, in case it doesn't work out with the new supply. And let me tell you, that already lets you know it's not working out with the new supply. People a lot of times think, oh, well, the new supply is living this beautiful dream world of a life with the narcissist. But the reality is, the narcissist is using them and is ready to bolt if they have somebody else to go to. Yeah. So, of course, they're going to check on their old supply, their exes, and they want to see if their exes are still available. Yeah. Oh, Persian Motorman says, oh, Spanish experts say there is a similar brain dysfunction between schizophrenia and psychopathy when they call other people crazy. Total projection. Yeah, it is. So here's the deal. We know that narcissists project, and that's a huge reason why they're able to convince other people, because they're projecting who they are onto their victim. And other people would rather, I mean, they give the narcissist the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times they give the person who does the talking the benefit of the doubt, or the person who reaches them first the benefit of the doubt, right? They heard it first from the narcissist that you're the one who's crazy. So that's going to stick in their mind. They heard from the narcissist first that you're manipulative. So that's going to stick in their mind. Also, the narcissist doesn't ever want to really get to the truth, right? I mean, they want to avoid the truth at all cost. So they're going to come up with elaborate lies and schemes and gossip to support whatever lie they're living in. So the more people who believe in their lie, the more people will spread their lie, and suddenly their lie sounds like the truth because other people are believing it. If they can get one person or two people to believe their lie, then they have that one person or those two people to spread their lie as if it's truth, because those people have no clue. They don't know that it's a lie, right? So they'll go on and spread this lie as if it's the truth. So for instance, the narc might say, they saw you, their victim or new supply, having dinner and touching, or being affectionate with somebody else. So they suspect you're cheating on them. Now, they'll tell that to one or two people who will believe them. Now, those one or two people will then spread it as if it's the truth, right? It's completely made up. You never were out to dinner with anybody. You weren't touching anybody. You were not being affectionate, with somebody else, or cheating on the narc. But now, since the narc has gossiped about you and spread this lie about you, these two are going to go into your friend group, right? And spread it in this friend group. You know what? So and so, they'll mention your name, was out the other night, and she was, or he was, cheating and being affectionate, or kissing and touching, and then they'll elaborate, without even realizing it. They'll fill in the blanks, then the lie just grows. And that's all the narcissist has to do. He or she starts a small lie about you or their new supply, and then it just continues to grow as people gossip about it. Yeah. So that's another frustrating thing. And I've told people, who've been through all of this, and they ask, how do I stop the narcissist from talking about things about me that they know? And some of it may not even be lies, all right? Some of the things they know about you or their new supply might be real things. Confessions you've made to the narcissist, or just sharing life with the narcissist. You let them know your deepest fears or concerns, or maybe something you did that you were ashamed of. And they're going to spread this, especially if you're already broken up. But guess what? They're going to spread it anyway, whether you're broken up or not. Even when you're together, they'll spread it. So don't worry about things you can't change. You cannot change the narcissist. You cannot tie their hands, right? You can't stop them from gossiping. And here's the deal, whether they know truths about you or not, they're going to embellish anyway. So even if they don't have anything on you, they would make up stuff about you anyway. So just let them do what they're going to do. I mean, you don't do it happily or anything like that, but you can't live in this world where you're afraid of what might come out of their mouth. Don't live like that. Live your life, be bold, be who you are. You know, if you had shared some things about yourself with a narcissist, that's out of your hands now. You know, they will do what they will do. They're going to lie anyway. And there are going to be some people out there who are going to believe them. And sadly, some of them might be your friends, some of them might be your family. And that's why we're talking about this topic, because it is so harmful, right? And we can let it control our life, or we can just say, you know what, we can't control this and we have to go no contact. The less contact you have with the narcissist, the better. If you can start fading in their life, like if you start fading out of their life, that is the best. Some people think, no, I'm going to keep contact with the narcissist. I want them to remember me. I want them, you know, to keep me in their life. You don't want them to keep you in their life. And you're so much better off if they cut you off. You know, if they just completely extract you out of their life. Now, they're still going to be talking about you to the new supply. And that's another reason how they fool the new supply. They're going to create a common enemy, and you are that common enemy. The new supply doesn't want to know that they had a great relationship with you, right? So the narcissist is going to make it sound like you're the crazy one, you're awful, they're the hero, they were victimized by you. So of course the new supply is going to believe the narcissist. Now the new supply, just like the one or two friends that the narcissist gets to believe their lies, now the new supply believes their lies and will spread that lie as if it is truth to their family. So of course now their family believes, because it's coming from the new supply, the family now believes what the narcissist has said, because now the new supply is supporting it, right? The new supply is the one who believes it and is supporting it. And that's the beginning of how their family gets pulled in as well. People are like, well, how doesn't the family know? Don't the best friends pay attention? Holy cow, let me tell you something. I was watching these two women. Oh my gosh, so horrible. But one of them's the covert narcissist I was telling you guys about. Now, she was dating an overt narcissist, and she would tell her best friend, and the reason I know this is because I used to be on Facebook, and they give you feed or whatever, news feeds, right, from people they think you've been close to and have acknowledged. And now they give you news feed about everybody. But I remember seeing comments coming up from the friend of the covert narcissist that would say things like, oh, this is so awesome, so happy for you guys. And every time the covert narcissist, the vulnerable narcissist, would compliment her boyfriend at the time, right, who was this overt narcissist, the friend would like it and comment back and say, yeah, me too. She would just go on and on complimenting the narcissist, the grandiose narcissist. So that's how, and this is a case where they're both narcissists, which is ideal, by the way, because then they don't have to pull the rest of us into their crazy town. But even if the new supply was not a narcissist, they would be, and you've seen this, the new supply going on and on and on in their social media about how happy they are and how perfect the narcissist is and how romantic the narcissist is and how lucky they are to be with this narcissist, right? You have seen this. So the new supply spreads the lies, right? The facade, the illusion that the narcissist wants them to spread. Now, when they do that, of course, their family and their friends are going to think, wow, this guy or this girl is so amazing because my friend or my sister or my brother or my cousin is going on and on about them. So of course, now the friends and the relatives are believing the lies about the narcissist, the illusion about the narcissist. And they start trusting the narcissist because they believe, this guy or this girl must be such an amazing person that their friend or their relative is going on and on and on Facebook or wherever about, whatever social media they're on, posting pictures of themselves on vacation and how lucky they are to have found each other, right? And the family of these people, oh, hold on, you guys. Oh, I'm missing a lot of comments. But the families of these people are going to be caught up in it as well, right? And that's why the families are completely baffled. They're completely, thrown off when it ends. And they're like, what? How did it end? I thought this person was perfect for my daughter or for my son. Yeah, it's really sad and it's scary, honestly. Oh, this is weird. I'm going to renew this and see if maybe I can see your comments better. Sorry, you guys. Oh, my comments are not coming up. Oh, here they are. Oh my gosh, Crystal Jean. That's incredible. Says that's the problem. So her narc had told her he'd go nuclear on her if she told his family the truth about why she left him. Wow. Yeah, they do. They threaten. But here's the deal. People may or may not believe you anyway. It's just so crazy what people will believe and what people won't believe. And it's sad. Oh my gosh, you guys. I have this saying on one of my videos. I can't remember which one it was. But I'm trying to remember which one it is. I'm not sure. I think it's about gossip. But it says that it's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled. Do you understand that? Yeah, it's easier to fool people than convince them they've been fooled. Because nobody wants to believe that they've been manipulated, right? No one wants to believe that they were lied to or that somebody they trusted is not trustworthy, right? That's why it's so hard to convince a new supply, by the way, that they're with a bad person. That's why you can't contact a new supply and tell the new supply all the things that the narcissist has done to you, because they would rather believe that the narcissist that tells them they're wonderful and they're beautiful or they're handsome or they're the best thing the narcissist has ever had in their life, they'd rather believe that than believe that they're being played, right? Yeah. Yes. Druid VW, good to see you, by the way, says we must release them to God and go no contact. That is the key. Go no contact. You will heal so much better once you cut yourself off of Crazytown. If you have links to Crazytown, if you re-enter or revisit Crazytown regularly, it's going to be very hard to recover. It's going to delay your healing. Yeah. RVZ77, good to see you. Yeah. All humans are capable of incredible good and most heinous evil. We have compassion and conscience. They are weak because they lack humanity. Yeah, they are so self-centered that's why they lack the humanity. They come first. The other day I was just talking about the first narcissist I was aware of, that came when I started this channel, you guys. It was 2 years even before that. Somebody was talking to me and pointed out this kid or this guy, right, who was a teenager at the time. So that's why I call him a kid. He's no longer a kid, but at the time I knew him, he was a teenager. And she said to me, that's a narcissist. And I was like, what? Is that just somebody who's into his looks? But it wasn't until later that I started reading about narcissism and watching some videos and picked up some books. And by the way, I have a website where I recommend all these books that I've read. It's escapefromcrazytown.com. But when I started reading, and it just, all the pieces started falling into place. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, he was. That's why I was never able to reach him. Like, I couldn't use logic with him. That's why he seemed kind of disconnected, right? That's what RVZ77 is saying. They lack this humanity because they're disconnected from other people. They only see other people as how useful they are to them. And if they're not useful to the narcissist, then the other person just doesn't exist to them. Or if they're angry or jealous of the other person, then yes, that other person becomes a target to them. And that's why it's so important to just go no contact. And earlier, someone was saying how, I think it was Rissaris, that her ex was driving by her house. You do not want that. You do not want to be an obsession of the narcissist. You do not want to be connected to the narcissist in any way that they think they can come back to you. Okay? They should not think that if they want to come back to you, they can. No, that's not good. Yeah. Oh, wow. Obi says, my ex's sister was a narc and tried to get a flying monkey to fight me. I told the dude I'm not even worried. I give it a week and you'll see what I mean. Then she drove the guy crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because narcissists get obsessed and they don't let go of their obsession. And that does drive their supply and their fan club crazy. You guys, I made this other video called Does the Fan Club Implode? I think there's another one that says something the fan club doesn't want you to know. I'm going to put that in the little circle icon to the right so you guys can watch those. They're short videos. And I may go back to making short videos again, but for now, this is what I have time for. And I think it's really helpful that I give you guys a forum to talk with each other. And that's how I kind of started this whole happy crappy hours. So you guys have a time to connect and we can create this community to support each other and see that we're not alone, right? This has happened to others. Yeah. Oh no, Rissa says, should I be worried about him always monitoring me? I feel paranoid now. Rissa, you know what? If you can get one of those cameras or something on your door, I would. Don't be too worried. A lot of times they're just, they want to see you. And then if they hear nothing from you, if they don't get any response from you, they'll start to fade away. A lot of times they will just do that. They'll move on with their life. They'll find other easier to catch supply, right? They don't need to go back to somebody who's going to make it harder for them to catch. So they're not interested in someone who's healthy and moving on without them. And that's why it's so important to work on yourself at this point and move on with your life. Have a good life. Live your life. Don't look back. Yeah. Vonda C, good to see you here. I'm going backwards, you guys. I might be reading older comments at this point. Druid VW says the narc demon can't be bargained with, can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until, I don't know about that, until you're gone. But you guys, yeah, sometimes those are the absolute worst psychopaths, right? And I've read from psychologists too that all psychopaths and sociopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths and or sociopaths. Some narcissists, like I was saying at the beginning, are simply wounded people, right? And they're not truly narcissists. They behave like narcissists and they're very toxic. And they're just as bad, by the way, because you don't need to be in a relationship with them either. People just, people who are wounded, yes, they need time to heal. It's nothing against that. I've been wounded. I needed time to heal, just like everybody else. Now, that doesn't give you free reign or a blank card or whatever they call that, right? To treat others badly. So if you're in a situation where someone's treating you badly because they've been wounded and they keep using that excuse for why they keep treating you badly, you need to get out. You're not, you were not born to be their punching bag, all right? You were not born for them to take out all their anger and frustration and pain or whatever they went through on, you know, you were not there. You're not born to be that for them. They need help. They need psychological help. They need therapy. They need counseling. They need, you know, you could be their friend where you have very strong boundaries where when they cross over to trying to hurt you emotionally and physically and emotion, with words verbally, right? You can cut it off. You're like, no, we don't go there. But I'm willing to help you go through your wounding and healing. You can do that with people. Narcissists, not so much. Narcissists are at the very end of that spectrum where they're not going to change. They're not going to, they're never healthy to have a relationship with. But you can help them if you're distant from them. Like you cannot be romantically involved with them and you cannot be real friends with them. You can be friendly with them, you can care about them, but you have to have, you know, you treat it pretty much like a business relationship where there are boundaries, there are limits, and what you're willing to give and what you're willing to not willing to give. You have to be very clear with those boundaries. So you guys, let me see here. Yeah, Druid VW says no point in trying to warn the new supply. They won't listen. They never listen. Yeah. Yeah. Vonda says, you know, this is back when I was talking about goals, I think, of the narcissist. And whatever their goals are, if it's to get onto your finances or your property, Vonda sees just agreeing with that. Getting hands on my finances, my property, my waiting on her hand and foot. Yep. Getting someone to serve them if that's their goal. Yeah. Crystal Jean says they'll only pick an overly forgiving, benefit of the doubt type person as their primary supply. Yeah. Well, you know what? And sometimes the supply is just a horrible person as well. And the two horrible people fall into each other's lives. And for us, that's kind of like the best thing because then they leave us alone and they go after each other. I mean, it's a total, uh, I've said these words so many times: nightmare, crazy town. It's Looney Tunes, you guys, the life that they live. Absolutely Looney Tunes. Yeah. Interesting. Druid, let me see, where did it says? I'm amazed at how, VW says, I'm amazed at how many narcs are male. They always blow it with their beautiful, loving women. It baffles me. How are you going to go out of your way to screw it up with her, dude? You know, I've seen as many males as female narcissists. So that's why a lot of times, you guys, I go back and forth and say he or she because I'm trying to think. Yeah, I have just many, about, you know, the same number, 3 and 3 or something like that, male and female narcissists that I've known in my life. And I'm trying to think, like, is there a difference? Slightly, there's a difference, you know, slight difference in the way they manipulate. They will all use sexuality, you know, they've all done that. Um, they've all used threats. They've all used gossip. They've all used, let me see, I mean, they're just very self-centered, very insensitive to their partners. They've all been abusive to their partners verbally, you know, putting them down and never complimenting. That's the weird thing to me, is that the narcissists did not compliment their partners. And, and in a way, it's weird, but narcissists will compete with their supply. So yeah, they cannot put their supply on a pedestal because nobody can be higher than them. So when other people are telling them how much they love the supply, like for instance, the new supplies family is telling them how wonderful their daughter, son, sister, brother, the new supply is in their family and how much they love them. The narcissist doesn't see that as, oh, I'm so lucky to be with this person. The narcissist sees that as, what? They're not better than me. How can you say that they're more beautiful or more attractive, or, how can they be loved more than I am loved? So they start to compete with the new supply. And that's sickening, by the way, for the new supply who doesn't catch that. That's a really huge, big red flag that the new supply will overlook, because they don't want to believe that the person they're with, who's told them that they love them, now is jealous of them and wants to be number one. Yeah, it's the beginning of the end, if you will. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, let me see here. Druid VW, you got me. This is good. This comment: trying to bring justice to the narc is like bringing a knife to a gunfight. All I'm saying, they're good at what they do. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you talk about prisons, by the way, one of the books I do recommend, oh, is it called something like Fractured? I can't remember. But if you go to my website, you will see the books that I recommend. A couple of them are from psychotherapists who've studied narcissists, and some of them are, oh my gosh, yes. Actually, there are a few books on there about from therapists or psychologists who've written on narcissism. But they say one of them actually studied people in prison. That was part of his clinical research, was in prisons, and he came up with a number. It's not scientific. I don't. He's is from his experience, something like 80 or 90% of the people who are in prison are narcissistic. Because they or he calls them psychopaths, because they are that self-centered. They can't see that the crime they committed hurt somebody else, and they can't understand or have compassion for the families that were injured because of their crimes. It's, yeah, that's how it is with narcissists. Oh, thanks, Obi. Says the video is on key. Oh, wait, what video is this? Oh, I missed something up here. You guys. Well, you guys, yeah, I did not talk about my happies and crappies today, but I'm going to do that in just a second. Sunny Clouds, good to see you, says he's in such denial, but so glad I got to see it and more and move on happy. Gulson a car, good to see you, says karma is working. Yes, it does. Oh my gosh. Druid VW, you're very on key today. This is great. Saying it's creepy how they just ghost you and then reappear like nothing ever happened with a demonic Joker grin. Yes, it is creepy. It's so, you know what? And that's great. That's great that they're willing to do that, because then you can just disregard them much easier. It's, better than them coming in, becoming offensive or getting into your face or being all weird. Just, yeah, it's easier just take it in stride and then move on if you do come in contact with the narcissist again. Yeah, Honeybee says exactly. They act like nothing even happened. Yeah, that's really awful, because you're probably expecting at least, I'm sorry how it ended. I wish it didn't, I didn't do this or do that. I'm sorry, that I hurt you, something. But, let them go, let them be. You don't need an apology from them, and you're not going to get one anyway. So don't expect one. Just be glad that they're not reinserting themselves into your life. If you happen to come across them, you happen to pass by them, just say hello. If they're talking to you, greet them, whatever, and then just move on. Yeah. Sunny Clouds, good to see you, says, yep, that happened to the ex-narc. He started dating another narc. She did the same to him as he did to me. But oh, the pain he's going through. How can someone be so cruel? OMG. His attention's not on me. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so glad to not be in any relationships right now. This is awesome with the narcissist, that is. I have plenty of friends and family that I'm in relationship with, and it's so refreshing, you guys, to be able to keep the narcissists at bay. I'm sorry, I'm saying that I'm not in any relationship with a narcissist. I do have a couple of narcissists still in my life, but we're not in relationship, in that I'm sharing any of my life with them. I don't share the good, the bad, the ugly, anything with them. I don't share joyous, good things that happen to us. I just share the very minimal with them. And it's because they're my family and I have to stay in touch with them, right? I don't have to actually, I guess, but I I feel like, I can handle this part. I don't want to cut them out entirely. I understand these narcissists that are in my life right now. And there's just two. It's not like a ton of them. So it's quite easy to handle. We don't talk every day. Holy cow, that would drive me absolutely nuts. And some people, by the way, if they're toxic, I do have some toxic people in my life that I just uh, pretty much avoid. By the way, I don't go out of my way to get in touch with them. I don't go out of my way to interact with them. If we do interact, it's usually pretty brief and it's pleasant, and that's good. Just keep it pleasant, keep it very topical, just surfacey. You don't want to go deep with any of them. And spread joy, spread sunshine wherever you go. And that's what I do. I try to give them some hope, some joy, some positivity in their life, and then I move on. You don't want to stick around for very long at all. Yep. Oh, Susan Mendez, good to see you, says they try to drive a wedge between you and family and friends, etc. That's part of the isolation. When they isolate you from your friends and family, then you have to come to them, right? They have to be your number one. They have to be the supply's number one go-to person. They don't ever want the supply to be able to get help outside of them. Yeah. Honeybee, you are so right. Says, and even when you have evidence of that cheating, they gaslight you like crazy. Yes, this does drive you crazy because they want, you know, first of all, it's denial, right? First of all, they know they've been caught, but they're going to deny until you give up. That's all they know. They only know how to lie and cast whatever suspicion onto something else. They don't want to draw your suspicion. They don't want that to land on them. So they're going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to tell you that you imagined seeing the affection they were giving to somebody else. They're going to tell you, that you can't trust your own eyes, essentially. And it makes you go crazy because you're like, how can someone be that secure, right, in lying to me? How can someone be that pushy or that bold about deceiving you? But they are. Narcissists have no conscience and will lie and steal and cheat with no conscience whatsoever. There's a book called Without Conscience. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, that was the one that was written by the psychologist that went to the prisons and did his field study, his clinical studies in prisons. It's called Without Conscience. Absolutely crazy. Really opened my eyes to the depths of how a narcissist doesn't have a conscience, and he goes into deep explanations about how that looks, how it appears. And when they walk away, they don't, their focus is still on them. I have a video that I did on this guy called, I think his first name is Clay. I forgot his last name, Clay Waller. He And I'll put that in a little eye icon of the video that I did on him. Again, it's a short video. It's one of the crime videos I've done. I've watched a lot of crime shows, and occasionally I've put them into a video because they're a really good example of a certain narcissistic characteristic. And in this case, Clay Waller, it was about, oh my gosh, he was talking on the phone with his cousin, I think it was, or his uncle, can't remember, a relative. And the relative is trying, you know, he's going through the trial. He hasn't been convicted yet, or he hasn't been sentenced yet, something like that. And the guy goes to say, you know, he killed his wife, and it took 2 years finally for the justice system to catch up with him, and he was in court, and they found everything, all the evidence, and it's being presented. And he says to his cousin on the prison phone, you know, his cousin's trying to tell him, look, dude, you got to show some remorse. You got to, you know, let the court see that you feel bad about what you did. And his response was, what? That was 2 years ago. What about me? What about what I'm going through now? Yeah, that was his response, without conscience. That's why the book was written. You guys, people like this have no clue the damage they do and the pain they cause others. And if you are not in a relationship with a narcissist now, if you got out and you are able to live your life apart from them, count yourself lucky, count yourself blessed. And don't worry about karma. Karma will come around. It will catch up with them. You may not see it, and you don't really want to see it, by the way, because you don't want to be close enough to the narcissist to be involved. But if you somehow hear about it, sometimes it's a blessing, right? Sometimes you're like, I feel so good, and a weight gets lifted from you, that finally justice, right? You saw some justice. But don't worry so much about getting justice. Don't worry about getting revenge or anything like that. Let it go. You know, I really appreciate one of you guys, I think it was Druid VW, I'm sorry, don't remember now, who said, you know, just give it to God and let go of it and go no contact. And it's so important to go no contact. Well, you guys, our hour is up, but I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to wrap up some of your conversations. And I'm going to go through some of these comments to see if I can help with any questions or confusion. Narc telepathy. Okay, I want to see what that's about. Where did that go? Numo, good to see you. Oh, what is this? Oh, Druid VW says, I love being single. I love that too. That's great. Not for myself, I'm not single, but friends, I've had friends who are single, and they, you know, not just, I've had friends who were single, and during their single time, I helped them to see the benefit of being single, things that they can do that people who are in relationships can't do, right? But then they got married. So now I have new friends, other friends that are single, and they're doing just fine though. They are focused on doing the things that are in front of them, their life, their interests, their hobbies. They're doing great. Susan Mendez, they tried to drive a wedge between you and family and friends. We mentioned that already. Okay, where am I? Oh, you know what? One of the things I did not do, which I have to do, I didn't realize, is turn the chat to live chat and not just top chat, which is what YouTube does automatically. And that's why sometimes I don't see comments. So sorry if I don't see your comments. Yeah. Hold on, let me see. So sorry, guys. I'm trying to go back. It's hard to see all these comments because the light out here is making it hard to see on my computer. Oh, wow. Golson Ikar says after 18 years of marriage and having 4 beautiful children, his mask came off. I'm from Holland, Amsterdam. Well, I'm so glad that you're here, Golson. And I'm sorry that you went through 18 years of marriage and having children with him. I'm glad that you have your children. And that, is such a beautiful thing that you can focus on your children and raise them well. But the mask coming off, that's hard. That's really hard to deal with. And you're going to make it though. You're much stronger than you realize. And you've got a lot of people who've gone through this as well who can be here to help you see the hope on the other side. Wow. Yeah, Crystal says to Gulson, same happened to me, almost 20 years of being his toy, 2 children. It's only about what they need to survive. Yeah. So when people ask me, how is the narcissist still with the new supply? They've been together for 3 years now or 7 years now. If it's so bad, how are they still together? And let me tell you, it's many of us have been with narcissists for years. Many of us have been married for decades, right? To a narcissist. It doesn't mean that it was beautiful and that it was a fantasy. It just meant that we were gaslit, we were wounded, we couldn't get out, we didn't know any better. There's so many reasons, you guys, why the new supply stays with the narcissist, even though it's a nightmare. Oh, Dana, so glad that you're here. Says, I found this group several months ago and I always miss the live one. Thank you for your wisdom. You're very welcome. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you guys are talking with each other too and supporting one another. Crystal Jean, I just love having you on here. You have so much experience. Yeah. And so much to share. It's great. I'm just looking at some of the comments and I just appreciate you guys having this relationship. Yeah. I learned about the Jezebel spirit too, right around the same time, because, as I was watching some videos on narcissism, some videos on the Jezebel spirit came up and I was like, oh, what's that? And so it's pretty interesting to me. And I think, the difference that I have questioned this, what is the difference between a Jezebel spirit and a narcissist? Are they one and the same? And to me, I think there's some differences. To those of you who don't know what a Jezebel spirit is, Jezebel was married to, I'm so bad about this, a king. I think it was Ahab. I can't remember, but she was married to a king that she pretty much brought down. Nothing was good enough for her, and she put him in harm's way to get killed. And eventually, I'm so bad about all of this. I have my story probably very badly mixed up, but eventually she caused his downfall and his death. So to do her bidding, that is, and it's pretty much about control, the Jezebel spirit. Now, narcissism, I kind of feel like it's not quite the same. It's even more, it's super self-centered and there's a disconnect in the brain. It's not just, because when you watch these crime shows about psychopaths and sociopaths, it's not a Jezebel spirit. Okay, you guys, it's not a Jezebel spirit. It's super narcissism on steroids. These psychopaths, right? They don't have any connection to humanity. They don't. They have no conscience. Now, people with a Jezebel spirit will still have a conscience because they're still people. They actually are controlled by something. Some people believe it's a spirit. Some people believe it's woundedness that controls them, but it's not the same as narcissism. Anyway, that's just my take on it. Yeah. Well, you guys, I hope that let me just go revisit this. How do narcs fool so many people? Where did the narcs learn? Oh, one of the questions I have is, where did the narcs learn to act? And why are they so convincing? And they're so convincing because they live in their fantasy world, you guys. They live in the illusion. So I have a hard time when people say, live your reality or whatever your reality is. I'm like, you know what? The heck with that. Live in real reality, people. Don't live in this weird psycho town where things aren't real, right? Where you can redefine everything. Definitely get rid of things, labels that you've been living with. Like, if you've been labeled ugly or stupid, or don't live with that. That's not your reality anyway, and that's not even real. So when people talk about defining your reality, don't go off the deep end and live in a narcissist illusion. Now that's total crazy town. But reality is much better. True reality is not just it wouldn't be just your reality. Okay, others are going to see who you are. If you are a person of honor and you're a good person and a caring or compassionate or loving person, people are going to see that. That is reality. Don't, the illusion that maybe you've been living in is the negative one. And that, where somebody labeled you as dumb or ugly or whatever, right? Unlovable. That's not reality. That's also a toxic person's illusion that they tried to put on you. So anyway, you guys, kind of got off track there because I have a little bit of a beef with people who are like, living my reality. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope you're living in reality, not just some weird illusion. Okay. But narcissists do live in their illusion, right? They live in a total fantasy world where they're going to try to pull you into their fantasy world and others along with them. And I told you from the beginning, remember how they get one or two people to believe their lie or their fantasy? And then those one or two people then, since they believe it to be true, they're going to speak it as if it's true. And that's how they increase their fan club or increase their believability, I guess. Why more and more people start to trust them because they've got one or two people who do trust them spouting their lies for them as if it's truth. Yeah, that's how they're able to fool so many people. It's not just that they act, really well. All they need to do is act really well for a few people. And then those few people become sort of like their minions and then spread. Ugh, it's horrible. But yeah. I do also talk, I had thought about this and I was wanting to talk about how they're able to fool people because they use our emotions. They get deep and in contact with our emotions. So once they gain that, once they make an emotional connection with us, then they have our attention. They have our trust, right? They start to build up this reservoir of experience now with them, right? We think, oh, we've known them for 4 years or 10 years or 15 years, whatever. It's just crazy how long you can even know a narcissist before you come to realize they're a narcissist. Because the few times you interact with them, you just give them the benefit of the doubt. But you've given them the benefit of the doubt over a period of years. And so you think, well, I've known this person for 5 years, then that must mean I know them. Not necessarily. Just like someone said earlier, sometimes the family and friends who believe the narcissist is not even their family and friends, it's your family and friends. The reason they believe the narcissist is because they give the narcissist the benefit of the doubt, right? They just can't imagine that somebody could be that cruel or manipulative or that deceitful or that bold in a lie. So until they've gone through that experience themselves, they just can't believe it. And that's how also the narcissist can get people to believe them, because unless you've experienced it, you are not skeptical in that way. You're not wise in that way, right? You're kind of naive, or the people that they're fooling are naive. They may not be completely stupid, as someone else had said, but they are naive to the fact that someone can be that cruel, or someone can be that deceitful, someone can be that bold in lying, right? Why would they lie so much, right? You just can't understand how someone can live with themselves when they do that. But here's the thing, it's because they have no conscience And that's another thing we cannot fathom until we've gone through it, right? Until we've gone through the experience. Um, I've seen things before. I've seen crime shows before I started understanding what narcissism was. And I did not understand. I couldn't fathom, like, how does this person not have a conscience? I don't get it. Until I started seeing it in a couple of the relationships I've had. I was like, oh, now that I've experienced it, now I see it. Now, not that I think there's anything to understand as far as excuse. We don't excuse it, but we see, like, wow, it exists, right? We're not so naive anymore. We're not so innocent about these things anymore. we now can understand when someone comes to us and talks about how horrible somebody else had been to them or their ex had been. We can now see, like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting a picture. I'm kind of getting this, it's not just in your head. It's not your imagination. You're not the one being critical or manipulative. Maybe this other person is a narcissist. Maybe this other person is toxic. Anyway, yeah, you guys, that, we come out of these things and we wonder, how in the world did we fall for it? But also, how in the world are others continuing to fall for it? It's because they haven't had the experience you've had yet. They haven't gone through to the end of the experience yet and been a target, right? Or been a victim of the narcissist. They haven't had to go through the gaslighting. Once you've been through the gaslighting, then you're just like, oh, the first thing is you're angry, by the way. You're like, what the heck? How dare they? I wasn't the crazy one, and yet they were trying to make me, feel like I was crazy, and I couldn't believe myself, and I couldn't trust my own eyes or my own gut or my own instincts. And that is so maddening. That just gets you so angry, because how dare somebody throw you off like that when that's a life skill, by the way. It's a life skill to be able to trust your gut. It's a life skill to be able to navigate through your whole life, being able to discern, right? And the narcissist will take that away from you, will try to crush your ability to discern. Anyway, there you guys. We have covered quite a lot today. And I'm sorry I did not go into the comments here, but let me just say goodbye to you guys, but also catch up on a couple of things before we say goodbye. Yes, I like that, Crystal. We are the church, not a building. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. I guess you guys are, I've missed some of this conversation. Yeah. Are you guys talking about Dirty John, the YouTube? Wait, yeah, I think they made a series called Dirty John on Netflix, and now they're extending it to Betty Broderick, which is another person that I've done a video on. I think it's called the Narcissist Ultimate Revenge, because narcissists will destroy you, and that's what she did. She ended up destroying her husband. But here's the deal: I think her husband also was, I mean, from what I watched and read, seems like they were both narcissists. But interesting how some people will take one side or the other and not be able to see that both sides had done tremendously wrong things. Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm going to finally say goodbye now and let you go and see you next week. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry, I don't know, I that whole thing where things weren't connecting on YouTube and the video threw me off of my I don't know, my schedule or something here. But I hope that this all made sense to you. I hope that it has been helpful. And I think that, being able to see or hear about examples in real life helps us to understand what happened to us. And it's not just like a figment of your imagination. You're not crazy. All the times that they've tried to gaslight you, that was the crazy. Okay. Them gaslighting us, that's the crazy. You are not crazy. You can trust your eyes. You can discern. Just start discerning again, right? Start reading, start being a little skeptical, question a few things. Doesn't mean you have to be pessimistic or, negative all the time or anything like that. But you do want to be wise. You do want to be aware, right? And you do want to have people earn your trust and not just freely giving people trust, right? So blessings to you guys. I hope that you have a great week. I hope that, you know, I wish so many good things for you guys. The weather is wonderful. It's beautiful. If it's beautiful where you are, get out, enjoy yourself, have a great day, have a great week. And remember that you are loved and you are around friends here and you have a community. You have people who understand what you went through. You are not nuts, all right? As much as they tried to make you think that you were, you're not. You are totally a normal, kind, beautiful, handsome, wonderful human being. And you were meant for much better than this, right? You were meant for much better than what you got from the narcissist. So put that aside, put that in your past, and start moving forward. And we're here to help you do that. Blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for coming, and I will see you next week.